Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. I hope you're doing well. We are nearly halfway through the year, so it's time for me to check in on my 2024 reading goals and see how I'm getting on. So as with the last couple of years, I've set myself a reading plan for the year which covers books or series in a variety of different categories. This year I've got 6 different categories. There are 5 with 5 books or series in, and one which has 6 because I picked out a novella as well. And basically the plan is to read as many of these as possible. But as with previous years, I'm not really beholden to my reading plan. It's something that is a nice to have target rather than a need to have target, so there's no real pressure on it. No one cares if I fail to hit my targets and to complete this reading plan, but it's always nice and it does give kind of a sense of achievement. And of course these are all books that I want to read, so it should be relatively easy. This year, as I say, there are 6 different categories. I've got series to continue, series to start, I've got some older series as well, what I call the classics of, I think they're all fantasy, that I wanted to try out because I haven't got to as yet. I've got self-published books, I've got sci-fi books, and then the 6th category is picks from my TBR jar of titles that I've had, review copies or books that I've bought or been gifted and just haven't got round to reading yet. All told, there are 31 titles within these. 5 groups of 5 and then 1 of 6, because as I say there was a novella that came out of my TBR jar pick. And then with the series to continue, there is also the option to finish the books within the series as well, rather than just reading the next book that I had to get to. So that gives me a potential 37 books, but only 31 are needed to, or the correct 31 at least, are needed to get 100% completion of the reading plan. So let's go and have a look and see where I am. So going through in order with the series that I want to continue, we start off with the Songs of Chaos by Michael R. Miller. With this one I had read the first book, Ascendant, and I had 2 more books that had been released so far in order to get myself up to date, but the next one on the hit list was Unbound. Next up we've got Fallen Light by H.C. Newell. Again, we've got 3 books released at the time of setting the plan. I'd read the first book, which was Curse of the Fallen, and I've got book 2 in the series, Forbidden Realms, next up on my list. Then we had Vaishivka by E.C. Greaves. I read the first book, Daughter of the Beast, for SBFBO last year. The second book on the list is Sister of the Dead, and then there's a 3rd book in this series as well, if I get to that one. Then we've got Rise Red Kingdom, a duology, or at least there's 2 books at the moment. I think there is a 3rd book in the plan, but 2 books released so far in this series by Kirsten Espinosa Rosero. I've read the namesake title, Burn Red Skies, and I had Rise Red Kingdom still to come. And then we've got The World of Linaria by L.L. McRae. This one, again, I've just read the first book in the series, Marauder, and I had 3 more books based on what's released and available at the moment to complete this series or to get up to date with this series. But next on the list is Palom. So this is one of the categories where I'm a bit hit and miss, I suppose. I've started making my way towards some of these goals, but some of the titles I haven't got to as yet. But that's what the back half of the year is for. So I've read Unbound by Michael R. Miller. I've also read Defiant, so I'm up to date in this series now, but that's one of the series that I have continued because that's all I need to do. I don't need to complete the series, it's just a continuation to reach this goal. I've also read Sister of the Dead by E.C. Greaves. I haven't got around to Mother of a Bond, book 3 in this series yet. I was planning to have read this one already. It was on my plan a couple of months ago, but I've had a pretty tough couple of months recently in terms of my reading, so I've not got round to this one as yet. It is on the plan for July, however. As far as the other 3 series go, I haven't touched them as yet. Again, I've got Burn Red Skies, book 2, so Rise Red Kingdom is a buddy read I've got planned in for July, so that one will be getting ticked off soon. But at the moment, I'm on 2 series out of 5 that I've continued with in this category, which gives me a category success rate so far at the midpoint of the year of 40%. So on to the series that I want to start then. These are all series that are on my bookshelf or on my Kindle that I just really wanted to get into and I haven't had the opportunity to as yet. So with these, it's literally just a start, so I'm only counting book 1, even if I do go on to read further books in the series. But we start off with the Dandelion Dynasty by Ken Liu, so this one kicks off with The Grace of Kings. We've then got Mages of the Wheel by J.D. Evans, starting off with Reign and Ruin. We've got The Brotherhood of the Eagle by Tim Hardy, starting with Hall of Bones. We've got the Firemain Trilogy by Raymond D. Feist, which starts off with King of Ashes, and then Empires of Dust by Anna Smith Spark, which starts off with The Court of Broken Knives. This is one that I've not really done too much towards as yet. I've only done one of these 5 series, or started one of these 5 series. I did read The Grace of Kings, so the Dandelion Dynasty has been started. I don't know what the plan is for the rest of the year when I'm going to look at the rest of these books, but yeah, they are still, of course, on the plan. I've got 6 months to start on these remaining series, but at the moment I've got 1 out of 5, which gives me 20% for the series I want to start category. For the older series, so as I say, these are kind of classic series, or what I call classic series at least. They were all introduced, the first book in the series was released in a year. That starts with a 1 instead of a 2 for each of these. They're all quite well-known series that I've wanted to read for a while and just never had the opportunity for whatever reason. So it's a good thing to put them on a plan and give myself that opportunity. So again, 5 series in here. I've got the Empire Trilogy by Raymond D. Feist and Janny Wurts. This one starts off with Daughter of the Empire. We've got the Elric Saga by Michael Moorcock, starting off with Elric of Melniboné. We've got Vlad Tolstoy by Stephen Brust. This one starts off with Jereg. We've got The Black Company, or The Chronicles, I think it is, of The Black Company by Glenn Cook, which starts off with The Black Company. And then we've got The Wars of Light and Shadow by Janny Wurts, which starts off with Curse of the Mistwraith. With this one, I have had better success so far in terms of ticking off titles from this list. I'm on 4 out of 5, or 80%. I've read The Wars of Light and Shadow this month, so you'll be able to see my thoughts on that one in my upcoming June wrap-up. I've also read The Black Company. The Elric Saga is one that I'm in the middle of at the moment, so again, that's one that you'll be able to hear about in my June wrap-up. And I've read Daughter of the Empire, so I've started 4 of these series, and so far I am going to continue with a couple of these as well, so I will be reading further books either this year or in the coming years to get towards the end and hopefully complete some of these older series. Next up is the 5 self-pub books that I wanted to read. So these ones are, let's have a look, yeah, they're all fantasy series that I wanted to read, or fantasy books that I wanted to read. I think they are all book 1 in series, whether book 2 is available as to read or not. But I start this one off with The Blood of Crows by Alex C. Pearce. I've got Death's Disciple by Emma L. Adams, A King's Radiance by Luke Schultz, Dream of Death City by P.J. Nwosu, and Demon's Reign by Bengali and David Estes. This is another one where I go back to not really having done too much work on. I've only read 1 of the titles on this list so far. That was The Blood of Crows by Alex C. Pearce. Again, I haven't got any of these ones solidly planned in as yet. I've got 6 months to read the remaining 4 books in this category. I don't know which one's going to be first. I don't know when that book's going to be, but they are all still books that I'm looking forward to read. Onto the sci-fi category, and this one I've got a standalone and 4 titles which serve as book 1 in their respective series. We've got Adrian Tchaikovsky with 2 of these titles, starting off with the standalone Alien Clay. We've then got book 1 of the final architecture, which is Shards of Earth, which was carried over from last year's reading plan. I've got Empire of Silence by Christopher Ruocchio. This one starts off the Sun Eater series. We've got Nothet Gloss, book 1 of The Graven by Essa Hansen. And I've got Unconquerable Sun, the Sun Chronicles, I think is the series title. I'm not 100% sure on that one, by Kate Elliott. And this one I've had a really good time with, actually. I've completed this category. I've read all of the 5 books in here. I've actually read 2 extra because I did read book 2 and 3 of The Final Architecture as well to make that 4 Adrian Tchaikovsky books just in this category. But I have also read Alien Clay, Empire of Silence, No Fet Gloss, that's another one that I did this month, so June has been a really good month for ticking off titles on this list, and Unconquerable Sun was another one that I have already read. So 100% success rate for the sci-fi. Sci-fi's been doing pretty well for me recently, even though I didn't actually like Empire of Silence. I ended up DNFing this title. The rest of them I've had some pretty good enjoyment out of. And then we move on to the TBR jar picks. So this is one that's got 6 titles in it. Again, it's just individual titles, even if they're book 1 of a series that I then go on to continue with. We start off with In Solitude, Shadow by David Green. We've got The Awakening Fire by Cassidy Feline, Rise of the Mages by Scott Drakeford, Starbinder, which is the novella by Mark Timoney, Exile by AJ Kelvin, and Petition by Delilah One. And this is another one that I've actually done really well with, even though it's got more titles in it. It's one of the ones that I've had the best success with. I'm on 4 out of 6 of these, or I guess 3.5 out of 6, because again, I'm in the middle of reading one of these. So that's 4 titles this month, but I've added to my completion rate on my 2024 reading plan. So In Solitude, Shadow, to start us off, I read that in January or February, it was early in the year. I really enjoyed this one. The shame for me is that, like with Janny Wirtz and the Curse of the Mistwraith, book 1 is on audio and I'll listen to it, book 2 is not on audio, so that's a real shame. It means it's going to take me a little bit longer to get to, I would say, just because it's easier for me to slot an audiobook in than it is a physical or digital read. I've also read in this category the novella Starbinder by Mark Timoney, Exile by AJ Kelvin, and I'm in the middle of Petition by Delilah One to make 4 out of 6, or 66% of this category completed. So we're halfway through the year, and in terms of the percentages, I'm just over halfway through my reading plan, so I'm in a really good position. It's one of those, I said last year, that sometimes I think about it and don't think that I'm doing too well. I think that I've got a lot to do to get towards the end of the reading plan, but when I actually look at it in detail, look at the figures, I'm doing better than I thought. I think it's the same situation here. So in terms of the base number, just 1 book from each series in that series to continue category, I've got 31 titles and I've read 17. That's including the DNFs. There are a couple in here. But if I look at just the titles that I've read and checked off the list, I've got 55% of those now completed. If you include the additional titles to complete series or to get up to date with series rather than just continuing with the next book on them in that first category, we've got 18 read out of 37 total, which gives me 49%. So even looking at it that way, I am pretty much at 50% at 50% of the year. So I think I'm doing really well. I've got 2 titles planned so far for July. I've not put together my July TBR yet, but 2 of them I am going to be reading as buddy reads, which is why I've already got those kind of penciled in. Outside of that, I'm not sure what's going to be the next title. I might go to the self-pub list because I've not got too many completed from there, or the series to start list, because both of those I've only done 1 so far. But the individual numbers in the categories don't matter because I just look to read what I'm excited to read that particular month, and we'll see where it takes me when I do put together my TBRs for each month in the remainder of the year. So that's how I'm doing anyway. Have you got a reading plan for 2024? If so, how are you getting on with it? Let me know in the comments down below. I'll hopefully see you in the next video sometime soon. Until then, as always, take care of yourselves, read some good books. Bye for now.